Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different. Now, I've seen Saskia Commander being played pretty much only one sort of way, and it's the movement, Milva, control, unresponsive type of deck. And I wanted to put it into something a bit more positive and do, a big boosty deck. And I thought it was quite fun in this case, and it worked quite well. So if you're unfamiliar with the card, it has immunity, so it's not able to be directly targeted and on deploy if you have at least 10 different primary categories in your starting deck. Summon a random bronze scoia'tael unit with a primary category that is not included on your side of the battlefield to this row. And there's a timer that ticks down, so every 3 turns you're able to get 1 unit pulled out. So you have to manage the way that you're playing your hand, and it rewards you from playing it well, because you'll be getting more and more cards out of your deck. Now, I wanted to put it into Invigorate, and I thought it was really cool because we have a lot of great bronze engines, and pretty much everything that I have included here has a purpose once it's on the board. So if it's summoned to the board, we could use the Order of the Doblathana and get some more nature cards out there. If it's a sentry, again, we can have that on the range row, so whenever anything else moves, we have the synergy with that, boosting it by 1. The Cat Witchers, of course, are just moving row to row, and they're able to do damage every turn. Adrenaline 3, we're doing 2 damage per turn. And then Mahakam Defender, when it's boosted, we have the ability to have it just boosting every single turn. So, this will go down the row. We could put like a Matron around it. It works quite well. We can use our Stratagem. If it's not boosted, we can even make it boosted with something like the Skellige Castle. So there's a lot of ways to do so. And worst case scenario, we pull it from hand. It's really good with our leader and with the boost that Torque's going to distribute. So it worked very well in that sense. Basically, the whole game strategy is to win round 1 with something like Saskia, potentially get some engines on the board, and then go into a round 3 with a lot of carryover via Torque. If you play this correctly, you'll be able to get a Torque maybe worth almost 30 points. Now we have really good hand buffs from cards like Bountiful Harvest, Sorceress, if we're able to make more Bountiful Harvest. We have Circle of Life that's going to be buffing the hand. We have the Invigorate, and of course Torque that's going to help contribute to that as well. Now, I wasn't really keen on Bountiful Harvest following the rework. I guess you could say it was somewhat of a nerf, but because our deck plays very heavily into boosting hand and getting carryover, then that's what it's for, really. Now, we have a couple engine removals, which is nice for control, a little bit of randomized damage, which helps, a little bit. Dunka could be targeting something as well with the 3 damage she holds. I wanted to put maybe at least one card that had a little bit of Tall Punish or something that we can abuse the coin with a little bit. So Serpent Traps seem to fit quite well here. I think it's ethical. We're only running 1 trap, guys, so again, it's not a complete traps deck by any means. And to kind of count the tags for you guys here, we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess nature counts, 5, 6 location, 7, 8, 9, Witcher 10, Dwarf 11. So we just went right over the threshold. So you could maybe look at, okay, if you're not all about the Serpent Trap, you could take Serpent Trap and you can remove that and put in like a Gaten or something like that. That was the alternative, maybe something like this, right? But I was pretty content with Serpent Trap. Just try it out, see how it goes for you, and if you want to make a change, you have room to do that, or even put in a Treant Boar or something, because you have, again, 11 tags, and we only need 10 for Saskia, so take that in mind. Another consideration would be to put something in the Bronze End, but the Bronze End's pretty tight. Like, I probably wouldn't touch that. It would be somewhere around the Serpent Trap range that I'd probably remove. There's really only like 1 card that has space to do so. So I got 4 games for you guys today. They're played in Pro Rank, and we'll show you guys how the deck works. We had a lot of unfavorable matchups, but fortunately we were able to capitalize on a couple misplays by at least one of the games I can remember. But overall, the deck felt very comfortable. When I did lose games, I was only losing games by a couple points. And when I did lose games, often it resulted in small little misplays from myself because I'm new to playing Saskia. And I didn't always take in consideration, basically, we want to make sure we're really spacing this out like we're playing Harmony. And sometimes I would just ruin it myself. So, take that in mind, play it smart with Saskia, and you should be just doing fine. And hopefully This helps revitalize the game for you guys a little bit, gives you something new to play, and gives you a reason to keep coming back to the channel. We're almost at 2K subs on the channel, and we made a huge growth spurt from 500 to 1800 in the last month. And I'd really like to see this channel climb to over 2K by the end of the year. So if you guys want to support me in what I do every single day, let me know by dropping a sub to the channel. But that's enough talking for now. Let's get into the games, and you guys can see how this works for yourself. And for the first game, we got Off the Books by Syndicate. This one's going to be very difficult, I think, because they have a lot of control elements, and we have a lot of engines. Also, the fact that they have that really high tempo play that they're going to pull out with the Savola, more than likely with the King of Beggars. We have to be mindful of that too. So I'm looking for a really good hand for round one. And I'm trying to space apart some of our... I was hoping to not have a bunch of one index and one in hands on the bronze engines. Just both index would have been nicer. Play a little bit of specials to start with. Saskia has more options. That's kind of the way to go about it early on, but we aren't getting the best Saskia if we take now, but we could still play around that a little bit here.
You are no luminance of mine.
What's nice is that you have a round that's helped secured by Simlas, and then you have a round that's helped secured by Saskia. So in this case, I took the Simlas, and often off a Bountiful Harvest, you're pulling into these elves here, and they're actually not bad for what we're doing, because it's sort of like a little bit of a harmony vibe, right? You got the 3, and then they're just going to be boosting up every time we play something different, and since Saskia sort of prepares us to do a little bit of that, it's not a huge compromise when we play this way. So you see what I mean? We're getting pretty good trades off the Bountiful Harvest here. Good solid point slams. Kind of looking like we're playing Deadeye Ambush at this point, though. Now, you see what I mean? Just a couple plays like this give us such good control of the round that we can almost tempo pass here and be fine. And you're kind of hoping that they pass because, or sorry, they don't pass, but they went and they passed, which is unfortunate because I would have just passed on them right then and there, 100%. So, two options here. There's one where we try and bleed. There's a second option where we just play to 4 to get the maximum amount of carryover. I think with the way that things are working right now, most decks have a good long round, so there's no reason to keep playing into it. Now, it's unfortunate because I wanted to get ahead early and just pass early, but again, we spilled over with a bit of points, so we could see how we're able to take this into later game with those big commitments being Simlas in round 1. Now, if I'm looking to bleed, I'm not really looking to play Circle of Life. So if I do take mulligans, it'll be potentially on at least one of those. We got a lot of good tags in deck though for Saskia, so the fact that they're going to be coming out regardless gives you more of a reason to hold on to Circle than it would if you didn't have, let's say, the whole Saskia combo that we're doing. Like, if it was just regular scoia'tael, then be different. And just so you guys know, I tried this deck with Gord. Didn't like it. Gord was in the Serpent Trap spot. It honestly wasn't that good. There's not enough special cards to leave it justified. I think there was a situation where... And I would have included the game, but the deck changed, right? We changed the deck, so it didn't make sense to show that game and then show the rest of the games. But I think Gore was like 9 or 10 points, and that was us playing all the specials in the deck, so it wasn't very good. But you see what I mean here? We got really good potential to bleed, so Saskia really helps us get in a position where if we want to go into a short round 3, we have the ability to do so, get as much carryover as possible, and just have point slam after point slam there. So I'm looking at potentially getting out maybe one more unit from Saskia. I'd be pretty happy with that. Obviously, looking at our deck and realizing there's not a lot left, one of the cards that we could go and take, though, is... Iflane, is that how you say it? Yeah, it's always that card that I'm like, you know, the girl who boosts a card in your hand by 4? That one. So we can go ahead and take that, because when we play it off Torque, it's going to give an extra 4 boost to whatever's in hand, and, you know, it's not really something that we want to take into round 3, because it's going to play for 6 points, but we'd rather just have the carryover and go about it that way. And they went and sniped what we needed there, so that's a really good tech, obviously, if they're playing against a lot of low unit scoia'tael, having those tributes there to damage the adjacent units as well. So I have to find a way out of the round. We don't want to obviously lose on even, so let's go ahead and take a little bit more carryover here, and that's just a really good take. Like, we have solid points coming off that. And if I'm not mistaken, this should be able to buy us some time. I didn't use leader because I didn't want to take it to that point yet. We just want to make sure that we have 5 units in hand in round 3, obviously, so we're getting maximum value from our leader. But most of the cards that we have there are, so that's fine. And they're stuck. They are stuck here. We succeeded. We actually did it, guys. This is probably the best pass that I'm going to get. There we go. See, I know better. I feel like we established more carryover, obviously. With one of the bountifuls we played, we had the boost on the Torque, and things are looking pretty good at this point. Keep in mind, we got to deal with like a 30+ point play that they're going to slam out at the last minute, so that's something to be mindful of as well. I'm looking at the clock right now. It's 6:45 in the morning. It's not too late, but we got like 30 minutes left of recording. I gotta like put this together real quick and get that uploaded, rendered, and all that type of stuff, so that it's live for you guys for 8 a.m. I feel like I'm gonna be late for work, you know? All the tedious parts are out of the way. This is the fun part. Looking back, seeing if I made any mistakes and showing you guys how to play the deck. It's awesome. Big leader here. Look, perfect 5 units in hand. We got our traps. We get Tall Punish, maybe the Savola as well. Hopefully they play into that a little bit. 16-point Sorceress is just wild, man. And I just don't know how the round's going to go. Like, I'm worried if I put down the Sorceress, they're going to have a Morils, and they still have ways to access that. Like, 2 clicks of the leader, and they just play it. You know, I just want to be careful here. If we put down, obviously Sentries and Cat Witcher have to come down shortly here. But I just kind of wanted to have a feel for, okay, what are they going to have in this deck? And a little bit more confidence. I put it on the range row just because I want to be able to hit the 4 in the front, just to actually get damage, maybe not hit off armor, because I feel like that might make a difference in the end of the game. Man, I love that card. Such a good card if you're playing this leader. So now we can start engineering this off. Hopefully, if they have any sort of removal, they're going to be baited by one of the Cat Witchers or the Sentry or the one that we pull off location. Like, these are all really good things for us. So if it happens, I'm still confident. We gotta make sure that that 16 power stays alive. That's like a win condition right there.
I only loot corpses, except sometimes they're quite fresh.
Trying not to sneeze right now. If I go quiet, it's because I'm holding it in. Yeah, this deck obviously is, it plays very tall. It plays like, if you like playing Kelly and reserving points, then try this deck. If you like playing Gord decks, then try this deck, because it's just Torque, it's not Gord. It's a different way to get to the same point. Now, I believe that this deck could get you into Pro, 100%. I don't know how far it'll take you in Pro, but it has merit. Like, it's not just a pile of cards. Like, everything that's in the deck has a purpose that works together, and that's why I was surprised, like, that I haven't seen anybody doing this. It just, it popped up to me, and I was like, alright, like, this is something we gotta try.
Gurgling like that.
So it looks bad. It looks real bad right now. The the fact that they're not playing any special card, the fact that, like, I don't recall seeing bank. That's the thing. I was hoping, okay, the bank's gonna come out, right? But nothing yet. Now, they spent down to 0 coin. I feel very confident that if Mariel's comes out, we have the ability to make it work. Now, kind of sucks that we're going to be losing a little bit of value on those Cat Witchers, though. I don't think I'm going to click the second one, just because it might actually hit for 2. There you go. So that's pretty good. We're back in the race. Think about it this way. We have the Sorceress, if it sticks, plus the Torque, which is huge. And I think we just have the game here. So, you know, just clicking Serpent Trap, obviously, because we can. Doesn't really matter what we take off this. You know, I'm just kind of looking around. Like, really doesn't matter. Waylay didn't have to be the choice here. Probably would have taken like a Tempering or whatever else the other option was, but there you have it. It's just a matter of just playing cards, finishing the turn, showing you guys that we had a lot of room, and if we would have optimized that turn, we would have won by a few more points. So it was close, but it wasn't as bad as it looked when the round started. Going on to the second one here, we have Double Cross by Nilfgaard. This is going to be one of the most difficult ones that I could possibly imagine. I was kind of frustrated when I queued into it, because I'm like, man, this is going to be tough. They're going to be able to copy all our engines and have assimilate. And then if they win round 1, they're just going to Yenvo the biggest thing that we've got on the board in round 3. So wasn't prepared for this. I felt like this was going to be 15 minutes of my life wasted. But I guess we'll see, right? We got... Hopefully they can't bond those, because that would be pretty bad. I went to the coffee shop. They have like an espresso store in the mall. And I wouldn't say I got finessed, but I was sold. And you know, I've been doing sales like for a living for years, but when it comes to coffee, it's not hard to sell me. Like anything else, I'm giving you a hard time. I'm finding the best deal. I'm one of those. But coffee, man, all she had to do was say you buy 10 different boxes and I'll give you a free travel mug. And I went in, guys. I went in. And I was going to pick 10 different ones, but she's like, literally, man, this is taking too long. She's like, why don't you pick 2 of each? So we got 5 different types of coffees I'm working with lately, and we got 10 boxes to go through. Now, it doesn't sound like it sounds like a lot more than it is, but let's just say it's been less than 2 days and I'm almost through a box. So, yeah, that's probably my worst habit, I guess you could say. But I like my coffees around here. Today I gotta go do some errands, gotta finish up some of the holiday shopping. Most of the stuff came in. I want to see if I can get away with ordering a few things on Amazon and risk it all. Like, it's cutting it close, you know. We got 10 days until Christmas and stuff, but you know, I got like a couple things left to get. I'm usually pretty good at it, but like the fact that I haven't been to many family members' places in a while, it's kind of hard to like see what they have and what they want, and you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking. That's why I like to procrastinate sometimes, you know, like, well, I don't like to, I just have the tendency to do so. Like, I'm always like a last minute shopper, but when I do it, I know exactly what I want. So we're just routinely putting down engines here.
What is truth if not an illusion? Now you see me.
Those infiltrators are actually so good in this meta. That's one thing I realized, because you have Nilfgaard able to use those to take out the Saskias, and honestly it feels like a tech. Before it used to be a larva tech, now it feels like a Saskia tech. But worst case scenario, you're still doing well. It could be a tech into the siege matchup as well, maybe the Witcher's matchup, you know, if you have like everything boosted and you want to prevent them from being boosty, right? So it's really nice. Obviously it really affects us here too, because we don't have anything in our deck that's going to go and reboost the sorceress if it gets damaged. We kind of have to just rely on what we have, you know, as like a pre-boost. So that one kind of sits there, not doing a whole lot. And I realized at this point we've greeted it one turn. I was considering passing the turn before. However, right now we definitely have to pass. There's no way we're getting back in the round with that. So we can go on to fight and try to redeem ourselves here for round 3. Seeing Saskia is really good. Always try and mulligan back those bountifuls because we want to realistically pull a Simlas. You see. And preferably, if you can go into round 3 with like no bronze cards in hand, that would be pretty cool. No bronze cards in hand, or like minimal bronze cards in hand. That'd be really cool. Because like, you honestly, if you have like a long round and you want to play Saskia round 3 instead of round 1, you've got like 3 cards she's gonna pull out. Like, it's pretty wild. So Dunka and Matron's a pair of dryads, so we can look at removing that elf and wait to play the sorceress. We have a witcher. There's only 2. We got to put one back. It's probably the witcher or the matron. But if we keep the matron, it's probably better to put back the witcher because we want to play Dunka early, I think. And we'll just go ahead and get that online so that there's nothing to prevent us from doing that. It's just out of sight, out of mind. Well, it's in sight, but out of mind. You know, just let it go and do its thing. And then we can look at playing Dunka and all that sort of thing. Oh boy, they're going for it.
Secret compartment. Delightful.
The perfect tech doesn't exist. Wait. Oh, it's an infiltrator. I'm just being spiteful. I was like thinking about putting that right there. But honestly, man, you go and put a serpent trap on an empty board, they'll abuse that every single time. So don't. And I hope I don't. I can't remember what I did. Most of the time I remember what I played. We already have an elf on the board, so this is like a decent time to go ahead and play that too. And then use the leader while we have 5 cards in hand. I'm a little bit worried, I'm not gonna lie, about that sorceress. Like, I'm kind of worried in this matchup. And oh my gosh, they remedy into it too. Wow. Alright, so now we can just stick to the script, play cards like we would otherwise, because the whole Saskia thing's not happening anymore. And if Torque can start putting boosts maybe on the matron, that would be cool. You know, maybe something that they don't need. Perfect. They did not snipe the sentry. We might need it like that. Honestly, we can start trying to keep that one alive, and then it just sucks because the longer I don't want to play this sorceress because I know it's going to get taken from us, the worse it gets when they take it. So we got to play that soon, man. What is nice is that a lot of the cards that we have in our hand aren't really going to be good for their leader. So Serpent Trap's probably going to be the best one for their leader. Protector's going to do really nothing. Torque is not really going to do much here. Call's going to do nothing.
Spit it out already. I don't have all day.
So let's just play that. The reason why I didn't put it beside the matron, guys, is because I know they're going to take it. You see? Like, I predicted it like 10 times out of 10. And if they didn't take it, then whatever, we just lose a point. But that gets taken every single time. They know it's the best thing to take. It's worth like 20 odd points. And obviously, we know exactly what that is. At this point, they used coup, and that's really important to see. Because the fact that they used coup, they can't I was willing to take that. Like, it is what it is. But the fact they use coup means they can't coup Simlast, so we have a chance to really get some value here off of the Simlast without them really ruining that whole thing for us here. Now, I feel like that's probably the end of the Mage Infiltrators. That's why I'm thinking, okay, we can probably get some extra points off the Whisperer, because they played them off remedies, they played them off like so much different things. And sure enough, you got another one. Unbelievable. Can't even keep up with these guys. That just seems like a pretty good rebuke, doesn't it? But that's also our best Serpent. Tough. It is tough. I'm not rushing here. Obviously, it'd be kind of nice to like get out of Protector and get the extra points if we could greed it. So there's also that consideration. There, that's not bad.
Are you fucking kidding me? Catnip instead of crowns?
I'm really greeting the Dunka because the risk, I believe, oversees the reward in this case, because if she boosts the Torque, it's also boosting the Treant. So we're getting like a 2 per turn off the Dunka, whereas right now, if they were to kill Dunka, you know, we don't get to use the 3 damage, but... So we can't nudge down the Sorceress enough to make it count. We probably want to go and take a Bountiful, because it's like the best thing we can take. These cards are probably the worst ones we can possibly roll, so I think if anything the Swordmaster's probably best. And really, I mean, can wait on the Dunka, really.
A person of trifling import, you say?
And that just happens to be the perfect roll for them. If last card's Heatwave, we win, I believe, because we're up right now. And if last card's Terra Nova, I think we should still win. And that was like with a 17-point or 16-point Sorceress they took with the Yen and reused it for the perfect roll. So you can't say it was luck. Moving on to game number 3. We got Imprisonment, Nilfgaard. Another really difficult test here because, again, this deck is kind of like perfect for control decks to play against in a lot of cases, because you can just make every single removal card matter. And we can probably bait out that stratagem with maybe the Witcher or the Sentry in order to let the Sorceress survive. That's sort of kind of what I'm thinking here. And I don't think I have to say this, but you never play Torque from hand until it's like the end of the game, right? The only reason why I'm hovering over Torque is because, like for so long, is because I was telling my buddy what it does. They were watching me play the games. He wanted to know why it always somehow starts in my hand. And I was explaining that, you know, devotion's a thing. So, okay, we got... What was that sequence? It was Menno into Royal Decree, into Furcard, into Tourney Joust. So a tutor for a tutor for a tutor for a joust. That's a hyper thin. And the joust paid off. So, like I said, we did get out that stratagem with the sentry, so now there is some probability that, you know, maybe one of the other ones will work. We still have to worry about those 2 leader charges here, which is a little bit frustrating, but hopefully we can get out one now and we can get out one later. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are probably wondering why I didn't run Gezras, because I felt like it's very expensive.
Spit it out already.
I didn't want to keep, like, I didn't want to put a lot of cards beyond, like the deck thins out pretty well as it is, like with Saskia and Simlas and Call in case we really need it. I didn't want to go and, like, have to stress about, okay, like, are we going to guarantee Gezras? Also, stacking the row with a lot of units and having them survive was also an issue with a control meta. Also, into the Nilfgaard matchup, they get extreme value on taking the Gezras here. And yeah, I just felt like we could play long rounds with this, but we can also play short rounds with this, and you don't have Gezras in hand on a 3-card round. So that's why we didn't play Gezras in this one.
Are you fucking kidding me? Catnip instead of crowns?
And that's just too big of a lead. I can't do it. I give up. So they got round 1 in their pocket, but I think that it was a very expensive round 1 for them. Leader charge, tons of tutors. So hopefully that affects their ability to draw into some of their cards later on. Maybe they missed something they really need in round 3, and it was because of all the tutors spent in round 1. Who knows? Not really a perfect hand to defend a bleed. And another thing is, some of you guys might ask, is that why didn't I put the Hawk Smuggler? Is because with Saskia playing a lot of the units, like bringing them from deck, and we don't have a choice in the matter. You know, you'd be bringing out like the sentries and stuff like that, where you want the sentries on a ranged row, and with the other ones, they're row locked to melee. So I had to sort of pick which one was the best option, and I decided to go with more ways to recycle the Bountiful Harvest than to have to worry about bricking our rows and making things awkward. Also, I found, because I played Torque and I made an Invigorate deck about a month ago, I realized that Hawk Smugglers are low-key, very slow. Like, you pretty much, like, and if you want to pull those off with Duncan and get all this carryover, you pretty much, like, sacrifice a round, from my own experience. And that's if they don't get removed. So, I'm going to respect their tempo here, and I'm going to play... I'm going to go in. We got to start swinging, because they have, like... With the right sort of push, they could take away all of our hand here. Just focus on the Torque, and Torque will do the rest. You know what I mean? If you're not boosting the Torque, you're losing points. And let's do a rebuke check. Yes. No preference to row, just play the card. So you'd think that maybe they'd look for a pass here, right? Like, you would think so? Like, you know, especially when they have, like, a Diplo. Nope. They're playing orbs against us. They have miners. Like, this is actually kind of getting scary for me. I'm thinking, alright, like, what if they make us go all in? Like, what if they reset that location, like, 3 times? We're kind of doing bad. And I wasn't expecting Vincent either. Look at that. And now they can just go ahead and crank that. Like, they'll be up to 30 points in no time. So, we got to get these engines out there ASAP. I'm trying to bait a lock bad so that the Witcher can stick. Oh my. That's probably the best play that I've ever seen with that new card. The fact that it went to hand and lost all the boost it's like detrimental for what we're doing here. So I'm thinking about going down with the matron here and then turning back online the dwarf next turn if we can get that to work. I'm thinking that they're gonna know what I'm trying to do and maybe actually lock that, but fair enough, they didn't. Now, it's not too bad, but they do have 3 points off the leader, and they're preventing a couple points with the leader, and then they have the location, whatever else is next. So this looks like they do have maybe a sweep to go 2-0, and that sucks. That sucks, the synergy with the sentry. You gotta love it, guys. Now we can just, like, kind of go about it and just floor it, because we know that if we don't start playing some big things here, we're getting swept. Holy crap. So we got 35 points, 36 points to do in 2 cards. How are we going to do this? We got to make the right choice. Can't take Waylay. We got to take Rebuke. And our Treant's gone, so that kind of sucks. I suppose we just take that, really. Just a clean 5 removal. And 28, we do it. Going on to round 3. Holy crap. Doesn't get much closer than that. That was frustrating. I mean, what do they have left, realistically? Like, that's what I want to know, because we got Saskia. They spent a lot. We have Saskia. I'm pretty sure we have Simlast 2 here, don't we? If we pull at least one. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, like, we have a lot left. Like, the perfect hand would have been that Rebuke goes away and we get Call. Because Call into the Simlast, into double Bountifuls, and then play Saskia after, so that we can actually get some value from it. As far as, like, the boost in hand. But this should be fine. If they can't take this out, I think we win. And I honestly wasn't really sure what to expect here, so I figured, why don't we just go ahead and take that? We could just finish with the location and just damage whatever else they play. And I'm hoping that they don't play a special here, because we'll lose a point or two, but Terra Nova coming out, that's huge. If I can snipe that, I think the game's in our pocket. It's a 50-50.
Kidding me? Catnip
Oh, damn. Okay, that was awesome. They would have played, okay. Realistically, the max she would have played for was 5. And they would have won, potentially. Yeah, had we got that. So that was actually a pretty crazy game. We did miss some good cards in round 3, but it just goes to show you that we can actually contend with this here. So we're going to go on to the last game of the day. We got Onslaught by Skellige, and this was the deck, the game actually, that I was referring to in the intro, saying that, you know, I believe they went a little bit too hard. I don't think that this is a favorable matchup by any means, but it's a game that we got, and I felt like it was still pretty good. It helps us demonstrate how to roll out the deck pretty well. So, and you see the idea here, tucking back as many bronzes as we can, but we got to keep a couple, right? We want to get some value off the Torque, because we need Torque and one other unit in hand minimum. And didn't put things in the deck like Sabertooth, because we don't want to boost something that flips. Didn't put Ethne because Ethne flips, and we're not playing that many specials. Like, we have a fair amount, but come on, you gotta love that. That's like a perfect Serpent Trap. See, you just wouldn't get the same experience if you played something else instead of that. I mean, Gaten would be good, but I don't know. When these moments pay off, they're really satisfying. So they want this round almost more than I do at this point. You have Crack on Crate coming down. That's coming down. Like, what else? We have to respect the tempo a little bit. Obviously, Skellige is going to be one of the hardest matchups. Like, this deck isn't made to, like, to beat that Skellige matchup every time. So if you're playing against Skellige, like, time and time again, then just rotate and play one of your other decks. But this one would be good if you're not queuing a lot of warriors or pirates, because the armor on everything, it really mitigates like the damage that they're going to receive from our random pings. And do we take Rebuke? That's a pretty good Rebuke, you know? And there was another card that I was considering adding to the deck, now that I think about it, Phila. But I like Simlas better than Phila, because Phila is just, it has that contingency where Simlas just works every time. And also Saskia is there, so that spot's very hard to fill. Like, you'd have to take out something that really matters for what I was trying to do to put in that card that might not work. Now, I don't mind going for it in this round a little bit. We can kind of assess it turn by turn. Simlas here with those two specials, or two units in hand, is actually very good. They're both going to get very tall. And I think that we'll be able to get out of the round anyways. Hopefully this next one boosts torque. I was going to take the sorceress here, but I'm pretty sure I take the middle. Yeah, the bowman, just because I figured, what are the actual odds that they don't do any damage to it at all, right? So I might as well actually just get that quick 3+3 and then kind of look to see if I can go on to the next round. We have a little bit of space to go and play maybe a Circle of Life here if we want to greet it, but we don't have a lot of space. And King Bran Sunset combo, damn. That probably requires, yeah, Skellige Castle, just, alright. Look at all these provisions, man. And at least we can, if we have to play into next turn, we can basically push those up to the right row so we can get damage next turn on the proper rows, and then probably just play Circle at that point, even use Dunka if we really have to. I don't think we should have a problem getting out of the round. Sunset, Bran, Holger, Hammond. 10, 10, 10, 13, you know, like, holy crap. Mind you, we did spend some provisions too. Like, we got Skellige out there, we got Simlas out there, Dunka, Serpent Trap, but it's more like 7, 7, 12, 8. And, wow. So, we ended up taking that with lots of carryover. That's awesome. Now we have to decide, do we try and bleed with something that we know is going to get targeted anyways in round 3? Like, do we try and bleed with the sorceress, or do we not? Because we still have the Skellige Castle that we might be able to see some benefit from, so there is that to consider as well. This hand's not very good to bleed with, though. I didn't feel like the Sentry was probably the best play because we only have one card that has movement besides that, so it was kind of weak at that point. Got 5 units in hand. I don't think I'm going to try and take this one all the way. I think I just want to try and take it down a little bit. Perfect. That's a nice boost. That's good, because, like, Morkvarg in round 3 is going to suck. If I can get it out here, that'd be ideal. But we just got to find our card back. If I can find my card back, I'm out. And for what it's worth, when I did this, this was actually the first game I played. It's just the last game that I'm including in this video. I was just testing it out, basically. I wanted to see how much reach we had. And this was just a little bit of going into an uncomfortable spot and seeing if we can get a bit more commitment so that they have nothing left in round 3. And if we can survive this turn, I think it's safe to say we got to get out. No way, we got the Fuchsia trait, so that tells me that they don't have Morkvarg and they don't have Heatwave, because if you had either, now would have been the time to play it. And we don't get the double leader charges, so I'm looking at, okay, look, I put the pressure on, I received a response. Do we go in a little bit more? I don't see why not at this point.
Ugh, stop gurgling like that.
Nice. I was hoping to get it on the dwarf, but that's fine. I should be able to find my way out of this turn. I'm just kind of looking at it like, if you didn't remove it when it was at 16 power, you don't have the means to remove it. And if you didn't remove it there, you know, and you pinged it instead with the on-crate, you just, again, there's no reach. And that's as far as I think we can squeeze it. We got the maximum amount that we could possibly carry over in this situation. So sometimes you're rewarded for greed, sometimes you're punished for it. And this whole deck basically screams that. So, you know, in the control matchups, I have to leverage these situations and do the best I can to get the best carryover. Maintain last say is important, because now we can bank as many points as we can into one card, and possibly that could just be our win condition, having torque like that. So, Saskia is here for round 3. Perfect. Force Protector, that's great. So, weakest links kind of looking like the dwarf, but we do have our leader, so bear in mind. We got really nice pulls for Saskia. Like, the pulls are really good. Like, if anything, it'd be the dwarf. I think that goes. Just keep anyways. Like, we're pulling out whatever else, whatever we don't have, we're getting at least one of. Hey, Saskia is gonna get out of random ping removal range, thankfully. Look at this. 8-point Saskia and counting, and that's too bad. Doesn't really matter at this point what row it goes on. Like, she just spawn in cards, and that's really what does it for us. Like, even if the cards did nothing, I still think like just having them spawned is pretty good, but obviously you want to maximize that because the card is 13 provisions. And went down with the matron first because, again, that immunity is protected. So it's something that they can't interact with directly. It's very difficult for them to. So, you know, get the extra boost on that. Maybe have the 2 matrons go at it and basically, you know, do the double boost every turn. And then you can put down the dwarf in this situation. I'm trying to hold off from playing the dwarf because if we get one pulled out of our deck, like, that would be kind of cool too, right? We can have the 2 dwarfs going on. So, yeah, you see what I mean? And then this just slides over, boosts the dwarf, and then next turn we got double dwarfs and double matrons. It's nuts. It's like a textbook example of like the perfect rollout here. So Heatwave, I mean, the card did some damage already, so I don't mind too much. We can just go ahead and put that one online. Things keep climbing. Torque's worth over 20 points now. Oh, wait, is he? No. We'd be going Protector. It'd be about 20 points. It'd be like 18 points. If I went into Protector, got the Bountiful, and did it again, right? And just respect the matron on the back row. Get that extra boost here. Go in for a... I think here, because it's close at the end of the game, we can go ahead and greed that. The last leader charge is gone, so why not? And it doesn't matter where we put it, it's whatever. And last turn, we get a card pulled out, plus the 18-point slam at the end, plus the special coming off the Dolbothana. So it's looking pretty good. If you guys enjoy the video, drop a sub, and we'll see you tomorrow.